As I was driving in, I was giving some thought to the show, as I always do, while I was listening to Boomer and Jerry, as I always do. And it hit me. I have the answer to solve the New York Yankees' problems. Maybe not this year. I don't think anybody could have the answer for that because it seems like a lost cause at this point. Yankees continue to go in the wrong direction, even losing games now to the crappy Chicago White Sox with their ace on the mound. But another night where Aaron Boone loses his mind and gets thrown out. Fun to watch, but ultimately not fun to watch this team. The last place New York Yankees, 5.5 games back now of a wild card spot. And we've all been screaming and complaining about Brian Cashman, and he needs to go. And I don't think that that's going to be the case, even if the Yankees do continue on this trajectory and miss the postseason. Cashman is not going anywhere. But while it is not his fault, Aaron Boone might be going somewhere. And while I don't blame Aaron Boone for the Yankees' struggles, somebody is going to have to pay if the Yankees don't make the postseason in a year with these expectations coming into the year. And if it is Boone, I think there's a thought to, okay, well, great, that's Aaron Boone. Well, who are they going to get to replace him? It's going to be another data applicator, right? Not that Boone is a data applicator, but you know what I mean. Well, there might be one of the great managers of all time available due to the failures of the Mets. Buckmas in the Bronx. Buck Showalter is the guy the Yankees need. And I thought it was going to be full circle for Buck when I begged the Mets to hire him, thinking that, you know what, he started in New York, built the Yankees up, was ousted before they could achieve their highest success of the dynasty. You know what? Wouldn't it be great for him to come back to New York and finish the job, win a World Series with the New York Mets? Well, that is not going to be the case. Obviously, the Mets are going nowhere this year. And in all likelihood, even though they're going to field a competitive team next year, it's not going to be a team that is going to be competing legitimately for a World Series. And it does seem like, now we don't know this for certain, but it does seem like this may be the end of the road for Buck and the Mets. And if that is the case, while it was thought to be, well, this is going to be Buck's last chance, not so fast. What if the Yankees actually come to their senses and realize that the change they need was right there in front of them the whole time? He was a broadcaster for, yes, of course, former Yankee manager, now managing the Mets. If he becomes available, it can be Buckmas in the Bronx. And his buttoned-up approach, his no-nonsense, although he's evolved, and I know people are getting on Buck for being quote-unquote softer this year, that's not the case. The case this year was that he saw, especially once Diaz went down in the Worthless Baseball Classic, that his team was a dead team walking. Buck Showalter knows more baseball than anybody in the Mets organization and the Yankees organization combined. And the Yankees have needed that type of presence, not hiring Brian Sabean or Omar Minaya to change up the voices in that front office. How about a strong voice that helped build up the Yankees the last time they were good, those dynasty years, that helped build them up, a guy who built up other organizations as well, and a guy who's got one thing left to accomplish: World Series or bust. Maybe it's not over for Buck just yet. Wouldn't the Yankee fans who are starved for a World Series appearance, World Series championship, of course, haven't been there since 2009, and right now they're even more starved for some change. And we're maybe looking for love in all the wrong places. Maybe we're looking at the wrong things by screaming for Brian Cashman's head, knowing that Cashman isn't going to go anywhere. And then the thought is, yeah, well, it's going to be Boone. But you also feel like, okay, well, great, what's that going to do? They're going to hire, the next Dylan Lawson. Who are they going to get out of the broadcast booth? Oh, here's Mark DeRosa to be the manager. Well, maybe, just maybe, the Yankees can come to their senses and hire a real manager. All due respect to Aaron Boone, but you know what I'm saying. Buck has great experience. He does not. Hire a real manager. And that would give the Yankee fans something to be excited about. I feel like there's only one manager that the Yankees can hire that would make them forget that Brian Cashman is still the GM. Because in the event that you hire Buck Showalter, you are now showing, by that hire, you are showing that Brian Cashman is at least relinquishing some kind of control, some kind of power to an old school baseball manager who is not going to take the crap of the Yankee organization as far as, the overall analytics. And look, I know Buck's got to deal with it from the Mets perspective as well. I know baseball's evolved and it's changed. And that every manager now, to a certain extent, is a data applicator. But what the Yankees did by firing Joe Girardi or moving on from Girardi and hiring Aaron Boone was a clear sign that they, the front office, wanted to control everything. And it hasn't worked. And then Cashman has thrown you a couple of bones here or there, Sabian, Minaya this year, and trying to make it like, hey, we're looking at bringing old school voices and different voices. However, it's why I pounded the table for the Mets to hire Buck Showalter back before they did. And it is why I think now it's the one move the Yankees can make that would make fans happy with the structure, even with Brian Cashman there. Buck Showalter means a lot more than just a manager, especially in the Yankees' case. Now, look, this year, I don't care who the manager is, the Yankees weren't going to have much success with the way that the injuries went and all that stuff. And I'm not making this about Aaron Boone. I'm making this about change. The Yankees need change. I don't think there's anybody who would dispute that. I also am not sure there's anybody who is going to dispute that Brian Cashman isn't going anywhere. Now, if he does, maybe that's a different story. And they hire a new general manager and they go with the same type of guys, but just less than, as far as Brian Cashman is concerned, right? They're going to bring in still a new wave guy, an analytical guy, hire, insert Ivy League GM here, which is why the Yankees have kept Brian Cashman all this time. They're not going to change him. And if they do, it's not going to be anything that's really better. It's just going to be different. Buck Showalter gives you the opportunity to bring in different and better. Now, I'd be bringing him in with the understanding of, hey, we're looking for your input as well. Buck Showalter brings more than just on-the-field, in-game tactician. He will bring advice to the front office on what type of players he needs, what the missing pieces are to this organization. It's the one move the Yankees can make, if it's available, assuming that Buck does part ways with the Mets, and you get the feeling that that's going to be the case. I have no insight to that. I have no idea what's going on with that. I would love to see Buck remain with the Mets, but it's two organizations in different spots. The Yankees are still trying to finish off their push here from the 2017 run. They still have a lot of pieces in place that really they can't do anything with. Like Giancarlo Stanton's not going anywhere. Carlos Rodon's not going anywhere. Garrett Cole is here. Aaron Judge is here. Yankees have, and not to mention they have some young guys that still need to develop, which I think Buck can maybe have them learn a better understanding of New York, being that he did it back with the Yankees and then even with the Mets this year. If the Mets go in a different direction and Buck Showalter is available, that's the move the Yankees have to make. It would make their fan base back off of Brian Cashman. It would get them excited. It would get them nostalgic. And it would also be the best move for the Yankee organization because of all the experience, all the knowledge that Buck Showalter brings. Who's a better manager? You want to fire Boone? You want to move on from Boone? Everybody's sick of Aaron Boone, doesn't know what he's doing, overmatched, blah, blah, blah. You're getting tired of the arguing. You're getting tired of the positive feel. The biggest issue, and I think this is where it hit me this morning, is the thought that Boone is too nice and too easy on the players and says the same messaging all the time to the media. We just got to turn around, just got to play better, blah, 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 blah. Well, Buck is different. Buck will hold guys accountable. Maybe not in public, but he will hold guys accountable. He'll look in the mirror. He said it. Guys got to look in the mirror. He'll have them look in the mirror and say, you're not doing your part. He knows what it takes to have a successful team. And maybe it'd be the perfect marriage between the two. Come full circle. Move on, because you got to make some kind of change. So and it's not Boone's fault, but unfortunately, somebody's got to pay the price. And in the Mets case, maybe they feel like they want to go a little bit younger, somebody more, somebody a little softer to handle their younger play. Who knows? But it just doesn't feel like the right fit now. Buck was the right fit to get this team over the hump. Back into the postseason, over the hump. They had one good year, and obviously now this year has been a flop. Not his fault. Even the owner said he's done everything they asked. But maybe if the Mets go in a different direction and Buck is available, it can be Buckmas in the Bronx. Tony is calling from Tampa. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Sal, listen, I hate to rain on your parade here, but there's no way that Steve Cohen, who couldn't find applicants, is going to let this manager go.
Why?
Well, frankly, he's under contract. He's clearly not his fault. The problem with the Mets is well documented. They just don't have the farm system or the talent. They lost the player and their reliever, and they had no backup. And then
I didn't blame Buck Showalter for this year's job, but you think you think Buck's guaranteed to come back next year? There's a feeling that that's not going to be the case. I'm just letting you know.
I don't think that it will be Steve Cohen making that move. And he's under contract, so he's not. Yeah,
he's under contract for next year. I mean, he's under contract for one more year for now.
Right.
He wasn't guaranteed anything. Steve Cohen committed to Buck Showalter and Billy Epler through the end of the year. He did not commit to Buck Showalter when had the opportunity to recently. He did not say anything beyond the end of this year.
Well, I'll say this. When you look at the Yankees, Buck Showalter and his style, not that I love Buck when he was here. He's a great manager. The problem is that the Yankees don't have the talent. Looking them in the eye, you say what you want about Boone, but these players are not capable. They're not. They're like a AAA team. If you watch every game like I do, they're just hopeless.
They're not that hopeless, Tony, and thank you for the call. They can't be that hopeless. I mean, the Yankees, at their worst, are still significantly better than the Mets this year. The Yankees, you're talking about, they're hopeless. They're a AAA team. They're still over 500. They're still only 5.5 games back of a wild card spot. While for them, it seems awful, but for everybody else, I mean, the Yankees are in a better spot than the Angels, who were buyers at the trade deadline. Brian Cashman sat there and left his team for dead at the deadline. He didn't do anything to help upgrade this team. They're having guys drop like flies. Rodon down again. Domingo Germán and his issues. He's out. I mean, the Yankees can't get healthy. They can't stay healthy. They got guys that can't run the bases because of health. Judge is playing without a toe. I mean, the Yankees are as banged up as you could be, and they're still over 500, and they're still realistically in the wild card race. Buck Showalter could be at least a 5-game difference for this team. What would that mean? A playoff spot. Greg is calling from Long Island. What's up, Greg?
Hey, Sal.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, how you doing, pal? Listen, I listen to you like every night that you've been on. When I go to work.
Thank you.
You change your time. Now you're a lot of fun, entertaining. But I mean, why would the
I think we lost him there. Oh, go ahead. You went through a bad line. What were you going to say? Why would the Yankees what?
Why would they want Buck Showalter? I mean, they ain't doing nothing for the Mets this year.
Well, no, but this year, you're being short-sighted. Why would you not want Buck Showalter when you think about his knowledge of the game, what he can bring to any team that he is in, and what the Yankees are lacking? I mean, they are lacking in that, certainly in the dugout, but I also think in the front office. Buck Showalter will help this Yankee organization be better. Just his presence alone within the organization makes them better, and I would take them more seriously.
What, you think he's going to get fired?
I do. I don't think, and thanks for the call, Greg. I don't think, now, look, the technicalities of it, he's under contract. Is there going to be a mutual parting of ways? I'm not sure how that's going to go. I would be surprised and disappointed, but I would be surprised if Buck Showalter is the manager next year of the Mets. I'd be surprised if that were the case. The Mets as an organization are going in a different direction than they were prior to hiring Buck a couple of years ago. They were on the build-up, and I'm not saying they're stripping it down because they're not. They're going to build a competitive team next year. And look, maybe Steve Cohen says, you know what? He's under contract. Let's see what he can do with this team. And then this conversation means nothing. But as of now, the way the Mets traded off the veterans, the way that it looks going into next year, while they may be competitive, maybe they want to go in a different direction as far as a manager goes with somebody that's going to be here the next 5 years. Buck is not going to be here the next 5 years. He's under contract one more year. Obviously, he's getting older each year. I don't know how much longer he wants to do it. And maybe there's only one more spot possible that Buck would want to manage. Come home. Where it all began. Full circle. Buckmas in the Bronx. Mark is calling from Brooklyn. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Regarding to Buck, I believe that the Mets cannot have him next year as a manager because he's not interested in training young players. And therefore, his job is maybe as assistant general manager for the Mets. I think he would do a great job.
Well, that's not going to happen. They're not going to hire him or move him to be an assistant general manager. Now, look, I'm not saying that Buck Showalter wouldn't be an asset. I just said it. He'd be an asset to any organization that he goes to.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So
but as a coach, he can never go over the hump or the bump, whatever you want to call it.
No, but that's not his fault. I mean, I'm not blaming Buck for that. He hasn't had. I mean, maybe he hasn't been on the right opportunity. You think the Yankees would, if you knew Buck Showalter was there from the Yankees instead of getting fired after the '95 season, if you knew he was going to be there through 2000, do you think none of those Yankee teams won a World Series?
Oh, I believe they probably would in spite of him. But look how many. In
spite of him, he built the team up, and then he built them up.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He built the Diamondbacks up.
I believe it's going to be David Stern's decision, not Mr.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, but that's fine. You're talking about David Stearns, and thanks for the call, Mark. I'm talking about it from the Yankees' perspective. From the Mets' perspective, it is clear that the organization is going in a different direction from what they thought 2 years ago, where it was all in, pedal to the metal, 3 to 5 year window. They talked about winning the championship. They've learned. Steve Cohen has learned from that, and I think they're going to just reboot a little bit, not rebuild, not strip it down and not be competitive. Just reassess, wait for some of these guys to come up. Maybe it is more focus on the younger player development. With the Yankees, they have a lot of pieces there that are in place. You may be talking about Volpe, yeah, one young piece. I don't think you're going to be seeing another, a bunch of young guys, the way it should be. You don't want to have 3 or 4 or 5 rookies come up. That means you're in trouble if you have that as an organization. If you're talking about one guy, then you could live with that. Buck can develop Volpe. He could manage Anthony Volpe. But as far as the other guys go, you look at that roster, maybe the missing piece for this team, since Joe Girardi has left, is a veteran mind. Is that presence, that knowledge that Buck Showalter has, not only to apply on the field, but within the organization. If he's available, it should be Buckmas in the Bronx. We'll continue with your calls on the other side, 877-337-6666.